Good evening and welcome to another episode of Shop Talk down here at Page 3's Game Zone. I'm Nathan Varney.
And I'm Patrick Tackett.
And today we're going to be talking about the new Uncanny Avengers series, issue 1 for Marvel Comics. It'll be on sale on Wednesday, January the 28th of 2015. This is the first reboot of Uncanny Avengers.
Yeah.
The first. There's just been one series so far, at least as far as I remember. It's hard to keep that straight sometimes these days. But anyway, this issue is written by Rick Remender, and primary art is Daniel Acuna. I think I'm pronouncing that properly. And it has a cover price of $3.99. This, as usual, this comic episode here has some spoiler material in it. So if you're not interested in knowing what happens before you read the issue, then take a pause and read it and join us back. So I guess we'll just kind of get right into it here. We were both just discussing that a little bit of surprise in that even though this is a first issue of a new series, I don't want to say there's a reliance on you knowing what happened previously, because I don't, at least with one issue, I don't think you're going to have to know what has previously happened in Axis and maybe in the previous Uncanny Avengers series and some of the other things.
Yeah.
But certainly there is a degree of, there's a lot that's already happened before this issue takes place, like just in Marvel in general, to the characters in the book.
Yeah.
And of course, the primary characters, what seem to be, so far, look like they're going to be Vision, the reformed Sabretooth. I guess he's not really reformed, but
the inverted.
Yes, inverted Sabretooth. What we got? Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Rogue.
Yep.
Falcon, Captain America.
Yep, and Dr. Voodoo.
Dr. Voodoo, yeah.
So, I think the most intriguing character for me actually is probably Dr. Voodoo out of this, because I have not read a lot of Dr. Voodoo books over the years. Very few.
Yeah, it was some of the older days of Dr. Voodoo, and then I picked up when, I guess it's been 5 or 6 years, maybe even longer than that, when he became the Sorcerer Supreme, when Doctor Strange... Was it?
Yeah. So, but I have read very little Dr. Voodoo.
Yeah. He's a very interesting character.
Solo stories. I know a little bit about him, but I'm certainly interested to see his interaction with this.
He's sort of like Marvel's Papa Midnight kind of thing.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the story opens with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch someplace strange.
Yeah.
Not sure where it's at the beginning of the book. Of course, you've got the New Men.
The New Men.
Which are, for those of you that maybe aren't familiar with them, they are like super powered, like animals.
Evolved animals.
Yes, highly evolved animals. And there's some, friction between them, and as they were talking about the trash planet, I think they called it, on the other side of the sun, meaning Earth. Regular Earth. The number's eluding me, but anyway, whatever number that it is in Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, and then they go to cut after, they have some battles and whatnot. 616? Okay. Thank you, mysterious person behind the camera.
Mr. Fingers.
That's right. So, anyway, but then they come to Earth, and it's the rest of the Uncanny Avengers. And you have talking, they're trying to find Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
They find themselves at Vundagor. Mountain, Citadel, both. Citadel Mountain.
Yep.
Sounds like a Games Workshop location. Citadel Mountain. Sorry. Anyway.
We don't talk about that.
They go through, are inside the Citadel and end up getting, as Dr. Voodoo is attempting to transport them to, I guess.
Yeah, they figure out they went to this other Earth that's on the other side of the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it was Vision that was like, I thought this place was destroyed.
Yeah.
You know, a long time ago. So it's like, okay, there's some hints, and then it's like by the time the end is like they get warped there, and they're separated. So they awaken and they're all in various and sundry forms of peril.
Yeah. All split up.
Yeah. And at the very end, I guess it was Sabretooth discovers that the High Evolutionary is there.
Yeah. And his new men.
And is basically behind this. So High Evolutionary is a character that has always been very intriguing to me. Mm-hmm. And certainly doesn't get, in my opinion, as much page time, I guess would be the appropriate term in a comic book, as a lot of other villains.
Yeah, he gets a small story arc in a comic sometimes, and it's been a long time since they had him spread across the entire Marvel universe.
Yeah, well, I guess it would have been with the Evolutionary War.
Yeah, the
Evolutionary
War.
Back in 91.
Yeah, early 90s.
Early 90s, 1991-ish, give or take a couple of years. But even then, was he not still? Was that not most of? No, that was X-Men and I guess Avengers, as well as a few other books. Yeah. I think. But
yeah, because you had all the mutants and Magneto tied in and Cap and some of the Avengers.
Yeah,
came
you're right. So
Cap Werewolf.
So it's been between 20 and 25 years since they're, to my knowledge anyway, since there's been a significant, and this may not turn out to be significant,
right? It might
but
not.
It could be.
It might. Yeah.
A significant story with the High Evolutionary.
Yeah.
They could write it as just a 4 or 5 issue stint here in Uncanny Avengers, and that be it. But it'd be pretty neat to actually have him as a big deal.
Yeah, it would. This would be the perfect place for him too, since I can't remember when he disappeared from the Marvel Universe. I know it's been a little while, and he took all of his new men with him. And the fact that they're bringing back the old Counter Earth, that if it's the same one that Franklin Richards made back in the day with Heroes Reborn,
that'd
be the perfect place for him to do all his work. Making his new utopia.
Well, and this would be something like it would be pretty interesting to see that the High Evolutionary, maybe they work him into being one of the catalysts behind a universe restart.
Yeah,
that everybody's talking about. Marvel also, is getting ready to do.
Yeah.
More than likely it's going to end up being Secret War.
Yeah.
And being like Thanos or the Beyonder or something like that. But it'd be pretty neat if High Evolutionaries worked in there somehow.
Yeah. Well, we've definitely seen the Beyonder post for that. And speaking of the launching of the new universe, I'm really curious if they're not relaunching it to be the new movie universe as well, because this new outfit here for Vision is supposed to be the new suit for him in the Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. Spoiler if you didn't know that.
Well, that's an interesting theory. And from a writing and a business standpoint, and even from a story standpoint for the fans, I actually think that might be a good move.
Yeah, pulling fans from the movies to comic books is probably the easiest way they're going to get readers at this point.
Long-term readers.
Yeah, and you're going to have huge gaps in between the movies that they'd be able to do filler for easily.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I hadn't really considered that, but yeah, that would be It'd be a fine thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
I mean, at this point, they're restarting them left and right.
Right.
Seems like
Right.
Why not do it?
So, I mean, I don't know that it doesn't necessarily have to be like 100%.
Oh, right.
Like, but I think that could be pretty neat.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even just as a fan, as a reader myself, I actually think I would like that.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably read a lot more Marvel books because I would have something basis to go on. I'm not the biggest Marvel reader, but I do watch all the movies because they're spectacular.
Yeah.
And I could easily get pulled into more of the comic books, knowing that the Marvel Universe was the background. I could relate more to it that way.
Absolutely. Well, so what were your thoughts of the of this particular issue? I know we've kind of got on a little bit of tangent there, but what were your thoughts on the issue?
Well, initially slightly confused because I don't know everything that's going on in the Marvel Universe. I'm slightly behind on some of that, especially with the whole inversion thing of all their major characters. But like we said, that's not you don't really necessarily have to know all that to get into this book.
Right.
The fact that we do have all this back knowledge kind of makes me feel pretty cool about reading this book, that it could be that alternate Earth.
Yeah.
And all these old things, like I said, the High Evolutionary hasn't been around as far as I know for a while, and popping him back up as the new antagonist, pulling all these old things together, to me really gets me wanting to read more about these books. And as far as new readers, I would think that this is a great starting point to start reading into these books, as you don't have to have the background to know all these characters. They kind of show you right off the bat what some of these characters can do, and if this is a new restart to the Marvel Universe, this might be the actual first step towards that new universe.
Could be, and that's a good point that you mean about new readers. Yeah, I mean, even though we've said it's like, I'm not sure, but you and I are reading this as two comic readers that have read a lot of books over the years, and it's certainly just one of those deals that we're trying to come at it as a long time reader, and I think that it would be perfectly fine. I mean, just especially and that's just kind of going on the assumption that that they don't dwell on what happened before necessarily in the story, and they just kind of go from here.
Right.
So, but nonetheless, I would. And that being said, this issue made me think. I really miss the old little asterisks that they used to put, like we have reference things, and with the little bubble, C, Fantastic Four number 12, as seen, just. Oh.
Or just the little funny quotes sometimes that they have in the bottom of the corners of certain panels.
I miss those.
Yeah,
and I truly think a good deal, I don't know, let's say the majority, but I think a good deal of comic readers around the world would actually welcome those things back in.
I mean, as far as that goes too, I mean, that even goes to older just novels and stuff you used to read. They always had the little footnote at the bottom of them to reflect back. No, they don't do that anymore, even in novels.
Yeah. And, I don't know. Like, I just think it would be neat to be able to say, when it's talking about this, when this thing happened, so what if I wasn't reading, like it was Fantastic Four number 12 or whatever. What if I wasn't reading that? And then it's like, I read this book and it's like, I actually think I might check that out. And then all of a sudden, I'm reading Fantastic Four regularly. Yeah. I mean, it's what happened in the on television with Flash and Arrow. I was watching the Flash already. They had the crossover with the Arrow. I watched the Arrow episode and went, I think I'm going to go check out another few episodes of this. And in less than 3 days, watched the entirety of the first 2 seasons.
Yep.
Of course, I'm like walking around with eyeballs like this, and like feeling like I needed a cigarette.
I did the same thing. I wasn't an avid watcher of the Arrow until they incorporated Flash into it.
Yep. So, I just think that it's something that, I mean, you don't want to like convolute a book, but I think that if you can do it in moderation, do it in just very appropriate spots. I know that's a really fuzzy area,
Yeah.
a fuzzy, a gray area, a fuzzy line to walk. But I think it could be. I think it could be and should and was, in my opinion, more beneficial than it was some type of distraction.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah,
So,
I never thought that was a distraction back in the day.
I didn't
anyways.
either. I guess so. Story, we're both, I think, kind of on the same page. I mean, I felt like it was it can be a little overwhelming, a little confusing, but the last page by itself,
Yeah.
seeing the High Evolutionary, I was like, oh, okay, ready for issue 2. Like, that's all it took for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm a little bit of a High Evolutionary fan, but still, everything made sense.
Yep.
I mean, well, as far as like the planet that they were on, it's like,
Right.
what's going on here? Okay, all right. But a good read, a very good, solid read.
Mm-hmm.
Art, I don't really care for this art style. It's not bad. I would put it just kind of the middle of the road, between a 4 and a 6 out of 10.
That's what I was
somewhere.
saying. It's a 5 and a 6 for me.
Yeah.
So, it's well done enough that it doesn't distract from the story as like I'm having to power read through this because I can't stand the art.
Exactly.
But the poses are nice, the action's nice in it. So not the best, but definitely not the worst.
And I feel like, and I don't know if Daniel did the cover as well. I didn't look to see, but because I kind of feel like the cover maybe is not as good as the interior. Actually,
You think
for
so?
me, I don't like the interior looks a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit better.
Right.
And maybe it's just the poses that if Acuna did that. It could just be the way that they're posed on the cover that maybe looks a little funny. But
I'm thinking that cover looks pretty sweet. Yeah. Of course, I'm always loving the whole. I think this pose was first done in Kingdom Come with Superman. Instead of flying around, he was just walking on air, kind of thing.
Okay. That's a nice nod to that. I hadn't thought about that. I like that. All right. Well, anything else? I think
that covers it.
Okay.
Can't wait for the next one.
Yep, I look forward to that too. So, all right. Well, that wraps up another episode of Shop Talk down here at Page 3's Game Zone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.